In the quiet town of Maplewood, a mystery lingered for years, casting a long shadow over the lives of those who called it home. On a seemingly ordinary day in 2005, 9-year-old Lily Thompson vanished without a trace. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through the community, and despite extensive searches and heartfelt pleas from her family, hope began to fade into despair. For over a decade, the case grew colder, leaving Lily's mother Sarah trapped in a painful limbo, forever searching for answers that seemed to elude her grasp. But just when it seemed the story of Lily Thompson would fade into the annals of unsolved cases, an unexpected twist would emerge, one that would reignite the flickering flame of hope. In the spring of 2020, a TikTok influencer with millions of followers made a startling discovery. While scrolling through a series of old family photos, she stumbled upon an image that sent chills down her spine. It was a snapshot taken in a park, featuring a group of children playing. In the background, a girl with a striking resemblance to Lily could be seen, her laughter frozen in time, a haunting echo of innocence amidst uncertainty. The influencer, unaware of the profound impact her post would have, shared it with her audience, captioning it, "Who is this girl? She looks just like someone who went missing." As the video gained traction, it caught the attention of Sarah Thompson, who had long been haunted by her daughter's disappearance. The image struck her like a bolt of lightning, reigniting a spark of hope she had nearly extinguished. Could this be the lead she had been waiting for? With her heart racing and her resolve hardening, Sarah reached out to the influencer, desperate to learn more. For Sarah, the years that followed Lily's disappearance had been a relentless battle against despair. She found herself lost in a world where grief intertwined with the longing for closure. The community rallied around her, holding vigils and plastering flyers with Lily's face across town. But as time passed, the faces of those once committed to finding her daughter began to fade. Friends and neighbors moved on, their lives continuing while Sarah remained trapped in a painful memory. "The hardest part is the silence," she would often say, her voice heavy with sorrow. "Every day without answers feels like a wound that never heals." Despite the passage of time, Sarah never gave up hope. She became her own investigator, poring over old case files, seeking out witnesses, and sifting through tips that often led nowhere. But now, with the TikTok post circulating like wildfire, she felt a renewed sense of urgency. This could be her chance to uncover the truth, the first real lead in years. As Sarah began her investigation, she encountered skepticism from local authorities who had long since deemed Lily's case a cold one. "We've followed every lead," an investigator told her, frustration evident in his tone. "We can't keep reopening old cases based on social media posts." But Sarah refused to accept defeat. She had come too far and fought too hard to let this lead slip away. With the influencer's help, she launched a campaign to investigate the photo further, hoping to identify the girl in the background and uncover any connections to Lily's case. As Sarah delved deeper, she began to uncover a web of secrets that lay hidden beneath the surface of her small town. The investigation led her to unexpected places, a nearby abandoned warehouse where whispers of a dark past echoed through its empty halls. There, she found clues that suggested a much darker reality than anyone had ever imagined. The twist was a chilling revelation. Lily's disappearance wasn't just a tragic accident. It hinted at a much larger conspiracy involving individuals Sarah never would have suspected. Among those connected to the secrets of Maplewood were familiar faces, friends, neighbors, and even people Sarah had trusted. Each new lead unearthed layers of deception, raising questions about the true nature of her daughter's vanishing. As the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, Sarah found herself at the center of a storm, grappling with the realization that the truth was far more complex and sinister than she could have ever prepared for. The deeper she dug, the more dangerous the investigation became, threatening to unravel the very fabric of her community. With every unanswered question, Sarah knew she was racing against time, the clock ticking ominously as she sought to bring justice not only for Lily, but for herself as well. As the investigation progressed, Sarah's unwavering determination became a beacon of hope for those who still believed in Lily's return. But with each revelation came a haunting reminder of the darkness that had long overshadowed her family's life. Would Sarah be able to confront the truth and find the justice she so desperately sought, or would the shadows of the past continue to haunt her forever? Join us as we embark on a journey through the labyrinth of secrets surrounding Lily Thompson's case. In this series, we will explore the chilling evidence, the powerful testimonies, and the relentless pursuit of truth that culminates in a shocking conclusion. The mystery of Lily's disappearance is far from over, and in the search for answers, we will uncover what truly happened on that fateful day in 2005. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the heart of a case that demands to be solved, and learn how one mother's love could hold the key to unlocking the truth behind her daughter's vanishing. As Sarah delved deeper into the investigation, she began to piece together the puzzle that had eluded her for nearly 2 decades. The TikTok video that reignited her hopes contained a familiar face, a young girl who bore an uncanny resemblance to her daughter, Lily. The influencer, a popular figure known for her captivating content, had stumbled upon an old photograph that seemed to connect to a dark chapter in the community's history. Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of urgency to reach out to this influencer, believing that this could be the lead she had been waiting for. However, as she reached out, she encountered skepticism. Many dismissed her claims, viewing her as a grieving mother clinging to false hope. Yet, fueled by determination, Sarah pressed on, sifting through social media posts, comments, and any connection that could lead her to the truth. She spent countless nights scrolling through old news articles and community forums, searching for any mention of unsolved cases or strange occurrences that might tie back to Lily's disappearance. One evening, while reviewing the influencer's profile, Sarah noticed something unsettling in the comments section. A user had mentioned a particular location, an abandoned house on the outskirts of town. It was a place that had once drawn the attention of investigators back in 2005, but had since faded from memory. Curiosity piqued, Sarah decided she needed to investigate this lead further. Equipped with a flashlight and her phone, she drove to the dilapidated structure. The air was thick with the scent of damp wood and decay. As she stepped inside, the floor creaked beneath her weight, echoing her heartbeat. The faint glow of her flashlight illuminated remnants of a life long forgotten, discarded toys, weathered furniture, and peeling wallpaper that whispered tales of a time gone by. In the corner of the main room, Sarah discovered a small, dusty box. Her heart raced as she opened it, revealing a collection of old photographs and letters. Among them was a photograph of a girl who looked eerily like Lily, smiling in a playground. The discovery sent chills down her spine. Who was this girl, and what was her connection to Lily? As Sarah meticulously examined the contents, she uncovered a letter addressed to someone named Emily, detailing fears of a looming threat and a desperate plea for help. The contents were cryptic, but suggested a hidden danger that had not only impacted the letter's author, but perhaps had a connection to Lily's disappearance. Fueled by a mix of hope and trepidation, Sarah knew she was getting closer to a truth that could be both liberating and devastating. But as she drove home, the weight of her discovery settled heavily in her chest. Who could she trust, and how many others had been affected by the shadows that lingered around this abandoned house? As she prepared to confront the authorities with her findings, Sarah felt a familiar sense of dread creeping back in. The deeper she dug, the more she realized that some truths are buried for a reason. Would she be able to navigate the complexities of these dark secrets, or was she stirring a pot that had long been left undisturbed? The answers she sought were within reach, but the question remained: what would they reveal? With the cryptic letter weighing heavily on her mind, Sarah felt a surge of determination. She reviewed the contents again, searching for any clues that could lead her to Emily or shed light on the mysterious threat. The letter hinted at a shared experience, a connection that could bridge the gap between her daughter and this unseen figure. Days turned into sleepless nights as she delved deeper into the investigation. Sarah reached out to local archives, combing through old news articles and community records, hoping to find any mention of Emily. What she uncovered shocked her. A similar disappearance had occurred in the same neighborhood just a few months before Lily vanished. Sarah's heart raced as she connected the dots. The community had long since moved on, but the pain of those lost children lingered like a dark cloud. Frustrated by the lack of urgency from the police, she decided to take matters into her own hands. She began to piece together a timeline of events, noting every detail that could point her toward Emily's whereabouts and, potentially, Lily's fate. While searching online, she stumbled upon a TikTok video that featured a local influencer. The video showed a group of friends exploring the abandoned house where she found the letter, laughing and joking, unaware of the horrors that had unfolded there. A chill ran down her spine as the influencer casually mentioned something that made Sarah's blood run cold: a series of strange occurrences and sightings reported by neighbors. Intrigued and increasingly anxious, Sarah reached out to the influencer, explaining her connection to the house and her daughter. To her surprise, the influencer agreed to meet. Sarah hoped that by bringing more attention to the mystery, she could uncover additional leads, but she also knew that shining a light on the shadows could provoke dangerous reactions from those who wanted to keep the past buried. As the meeting approached, Sarah's instincts warned her that she was treading on thin ice. The influencer shared a video of a strange figure lurking in the background during their exploration, a shadowy presence that had gone unnoticed by the others. The moment Sarah saw the figure, her heart sank. It bore an uncanny resemblance to someone she once knew. A person who had always been close to her family, but whose actions had raised suspicions in the past. Could this figure hold the key to both Emily's and Lily's disappearances? The walls were closing in, and with every clue Sarah uncovered, the truth seemed more elusive. What had started as a quest for answers now morphed into a terrifying investigation that threatened not only her safety, but the very fabric of her memories. As she prepared for the meeting with the influencer, Sarah understood she was on the precipice of a revelation that could shatter her world. The shadows were thickening, and she could feel the weight of the secrets pressing down around her. All she needed now was the courage to confront the darkness head-on. But would she be ready for what awaited her? The next step could either lead to liberation or plunge her deeper into despair. The truth was out there, waiting to be found. As Sarah sat in the dimly lit cafe, her heart raced with a mixture of anticipation and dread. The influencer arrived, a young woman with a keen eye for detail and a growing following. As they exchanged pleasantries, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting could alter the course of her investigation forever. With a shaking voice, Sarah recounted the events leading up to her sister Emily's disappearance, as well as the recent video footage. The influencer listened intently, her eyes widening at the mention of the shadowy figure. "I've seen this person before," she said. "In a different context. They used to be part of a group that staged elaborate pranks and hoaxes online. It's possible they're still connected to that world." Sarah's mind raced. Could this individual be involved in something more sinister? The influencer leaned forward, her voice low. "There were rumors about the group being involved in darker activities. things that went far beyond harmless pranks. A couple of members vanished under suspicious circumstances, and no one ever talked about it. A chill crept down Sarah's spine. Could this group hold the key to both Emily's and Lily's disappearances? What if the figure lurking in the background was more than just a stranger? What if they were connected to an underground network that preyed upon the vulnerable? Determined to explore this lead, Sarah pressed the influencer for more information. Together, they began combing through old social media posts and videos, searching for clues that might tie the shadowy figure to the elusive group. As they delved deeper, they uncovered a web of deception, each thread revealing the complex nature of the disappearances and the individuals involved. But then came the twist that would change everything. Sarah stumbled upon an old photo that sent her reeling. There, in the background of a group shot, stood the shadowy figure, but next to them was someone she recognized all too well. A childhood friend of Emily's, someone who had always been a part of their lives, yet had suddenly vanished from the narrative. Could it be that this friend had been living a double life? Sarah's pulse quickened as she considered the implications. This was no longer just about her sister and Lily. The darkness extended into her own past, entwining her with the very mystery she sought to unravel. As her thoughts spiraled, Sarah felt the weight of her investigation shift. The truth was more complicated than she could have ever imagined. This friend, once thought to be innocent, may have been hiding secrets that could expose a chilling reality. Could Sarah trust her instincts? As she prepared to confront the shadows of her past, one question loomed large in her mind. How deep did this conspiracy run, and what dangers lay ahead as she chased the truth? The path forward was uncertain, but she knew one thing: she had to keep pushing. Justice for Emily and Lily depended on it. Sarah spent the next few days in a haze of determination and anxiety. The old photograph haunted her thoughts, the implications swirling around her mind like a storm. If her childhood friend had been living a double life, what else had been hidden in the shadows? She began her investigation by reaching out to anyone who might have known Lily and Emily during those formative years. Friends from school, parents of classmates, even neighbors who once exchanged pleasantries. Each conversation brought more fragments of a story that had never fully been told. It was during these discussions that Sarah stumbled upon a name that sent chills down her spine: Jake Thompson. Jake had been a close friend of both Emily and Lily, someone who had always been around during their childhood adventures. But as Sarah probed deeper, she learned that after Emily's disappearance, Jake had abruptly moved away, never to be heard from again. That sudden exit struck Sarah as more than mere coincidence. It felt like a piece of a larger puzzle. Armed with this newfound lead, Sarah scoured the internet for any traces of Jake, social media profiles, old news articles, anything that could shed light on his life since leaving. To her surprise, she found a nearly inactive account that hadn't been touched in years. There, buried among the old posts, was a photo that made her heart race. It showed Jake with a group of friends, but it was the timestamp that caught her attention, just days after Emily's disappearance. Her gut twisted as she realized that Jake had been in the area when everything had gone wrong. Yet despite the sinking feeling in her stomach, she felt compelled to reach out. She sent him a message, her heart pounding as she typed. Would he respond? Would he even remember her? As the hours dragged on, Sarah wrestled with doubt. Had she gone too far? Were authorities right to dismiss her theories as mere delusions? Just as she was about to give up hope, her phone buzzed with an incoming notification. Jake had replied. His response was curt and filled with reluctance, yet it held the promise of answers. He agreed to meet her, but only in a public place. As Sarah prepared for their meeting, a sense of dread washed over her. What would she discover? Would Jake be the key to unlocking the truth, or had she unwittingly walked into a trap? The day of the meeting arrived, and Sarah found herself pacing outside the cafe, her nerves electric. The weight of her sister's memory pressed heavily on her, driving her forward. She spotted him as he approached, older and harder than she remembered, a shadow of the boy she once knew. As they exchanged awkward pleasantries, Sarah felt the tension thickening around them. She had to tread carefully. She needed to know if Jake held the secret she sought, but she also sensed that he was holding back. With each question she posed, she watched him closely for signs of deception. Did he know more than he was letting on? The stakes were rising, and the truth was veiled in layers of fear and guilt. As the conversation deepened, Sarah could feel the atmosphere crackling with unspoken tension, a storm of emotions brewing just beneath the surface. Little did she know, as she leaned in closer, that the confrontation she feared was about to unfold. Would Jake reveal the truth she desperately sought, or would his silence echo the secrets of their past? Sarah braced herself for what was to come, knowing that the very foundation of her investigation hinged on this moment. Jake shifted in his seat, his eyes darting away from Sarah's piercing gaze. The cafe hummed with the sounds of everyday life, but for Sarah, time seemed to stand still. She leaned in, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "Jake, you have to understand. This isn't just about what happened that day. It's about finding out what really happened to Megan. I need your help. You must know something." He hesitated, the shadows of his past cloaking him like a shroud. "I don't know if I can talk about it, Sarah," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's been so long." "Long enough for people to forget," Sarah pressed, her heart racing. "But I can't forget. I won't let Megan be forgotten." As the words hung in the air, Jake's expression flickered, an internal battle evident in his eyes. Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself for the truth she feared might be revealed. "Remember the rumors?" Jake said suddenly, his voice quivering. "About the woods, the stories about what went on there, the strange things that happened?" A chill ran down Sarah's spine. "What do you mean?" "I can't say much, but people talked. They said there were things happening in those woods, things that no one wanted to believe were true." "Like what?" She pushed, desperation and determination fueling her. "Kidnappings, abductions, even disappearances, kids vanishing without a trace." The room seemed to close in around her. Each word landed like a stone, heavy with implications. "Did you see anything? Know anyone who might have?" Jake shook his head, his expression growing more troubled. "I was just a kid, Sarah. I didn't know what was real and what was just stories, but there was this one guy. He used to hang around, always watching. I never thought much of it until..." "Until what?" "Until Megan disappeared." Sarah's heart raced as she leaned in closer. "What was his name? What did he look like?" "I don't remember his name, but he drove a dark van. Always parked near the edge of the woods. I saw it the day Megan went missing." The revelation struck Sarah like a bolt of lightning. The dark van. It had been mentioned in so many reports, yet had never led to anything concrete. "You never told anyone?" "I was scared," he admitted, his voice cracking. "I thought they might come after me too if I spoke up." The familiar fear gripped Sarah, but it fueled her resolve. "We can't let fear stop us now, Jake. If you know anything, we have to go to the police. This could lead us to finding Megan." For a long moment, silence enveloped them. Jake seemed to wrestle with his conscience, and Sarah felt the weight of their shared history pressing down on them. "Okay," he finally said, his voice steadying. "I'll tell you everything I remember, but you have to promise me you'll be careful. This isn't just about us anymore. If what I think happened is true, there are people who won't want this to come out." As the gravity of his words settled in, Sarah nodded solemnly, feeling a mixture of hope and dread. The pieces were starting to align, but the path ahead was fraught with danger. With renewed determination, they left the cafe, stepping out into the world that felt more perilous than ever. Every step toward the truth carried the weight of the unknown, and Sarah knew they were about to uncover secrets that could shatter everything they thought they knew. But as they headed toward the police station, a dark shadow loomed in the distance, watching them. In that moment, Sarah felt the eyes of the past upon her, and she braced herself for the storm that was about to break. The police station loomed ahead, a stark reminder of the years spent waiting for answers. Sarah's heart raced as she and Jake approached the building, the weight of their mission heavy on their shoulders. Each step was accompanied by a growing sense of urgency, as if the very air around them buzzed with unspoken truths. Once inside, they were met with the familiar faces of the officers who had once taken their statements, the faces that had become all too familiar in their quest for answers. Jake took the lead, recounting his memories with a mix of hesitation and resolve. He detailed the day Megan vanished, the strange man he had seen lurking in their neighborhood, and the whispered conversations that had echoed through the streets long after her disappearance. The officers listened, some with furrowed brows, others with a hint of skepticism, but Sarah could see a flicker of interest ignite in one officer's eyes, a spark of curiosity that hadn't been there before. It was a small victory, but she held onto it tightly. As they left the station, Sarah felt a strange sense of empowerment. They had planted the seeds of doubt in the minds of those who had long since closed the case. Yet, the deeper they delved, the more ominous the atmosphere became. Shadows seemed to stretch longer, and the feeling of being watched returned, more palpable than ever. That night, as Sarah pored over every piece of information they had gathered, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being followed. The TikTok video that had reignited their search seemed to have stirred something dark beneath the surface. Whispers of conspiracy began to swirl in her mind, each one darker than the last. Jake's words echoed in her ears. There are people who won't want this to come out. Who were these people? What lengths would they go to protect their secrets? A sudden knock at the door startled her. Heart pounding, she opened it cautiously, revealing an envelope resting on her doorstep. No return address. She glanced around, but the street was eerily quiet. With trembling hands, she opened the envelope, revealing a single photograph, worn and faded. It depicted a young girl with familiar features, but there was something unsettling about the background, a building that looked hauntingly familiar. The realization hit her like a cold wave. It was the abandoned warehouse at the edge of town, a place long rumored to hold secrets of its own, a place where whispers of illicit activities had long been whispered in the dark corners of town. As fear coursed through her veins, the pieces began to fall into place. This photograph was a clue, a thread leading her deeper into the heart of the mystery. But who had sent it? And what dangers awaited her at that warehouse? Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah felt a surge of courage. The confrontation she had feared was now unavoidable. She turned to Jake, her mind racing. "We have to go there," she said, her voice unwavering. Jake hesitated, the tension palpable. "What if it's a trap? What if someone is trying to scare us away?" "I need to know," Sarah insisted, her eyes fierce with resolve. This could be the key to finding Megan. As they prepared for the next step in their investigation, a shadow moved outside her window, quick and unseen. Sarah didn't notice it, but a chill crept through the air. Someone was watching, and the danger was closer than they had ever realized. With the photograph clutched tightly in her hand, Sarah took a deep breath. The answers awaited her in the darkness, and she was ready to face whatever lay ahead, even if it meant confronting the very secrets that had kept her family apart for so long. As Sarah and Jake stepped into the cold, dimly lit warehouse, an oppressive silence enveloped them. Each footstep echoed with uncertainty as they ventured deeper into the shadows, the photograph serving as their guide. They had come searching for answers, but what they found was a chilling reminder of the darkness that had consumed their lives. In the heart of that warehouse, they encountered a figure they never expected to see, someone from Sarah's past. A person whose presence shattered her world all over again. Confronted with undeniable evidence of betrayal, the truth unraveled before their eyes. Megan had not just vanished. She had been ensnared in a web of deceit, woven by someone she trusted. The revelation was staggering. A hidden double life, fueled by desperation and manipulation, had led to a tragic turn of events that left Sarah reeling. As the pieces came together, it became clear that the disappearance was not merely an act of chance, but rather a calculated move, cloaked in a veil of lies. With newfound resolve, Sarah confronted the person responsible, demanding answers that had eluded her for years. It was a moment charged with emotion, a collision of heartache and anger. As the confrontation escalated, the truth spilled forth, exposing the depths of betrayal that had caused her family so much pain. Law enforcement, alerted by Sarah's courageous initiative, arrived just in time to witness the confrontation. The weight of the past was lifted as the responsible parties were taken into custody, the long shadow of injustice finally beginning to recede. Sarah's fight for truth had not only brought her closer to understanding what happened to Megan, but also ignited a spark of hope for others still searching for their loved ones. The journey had been harrowing, filled with fear and uncertainty, but it underscored the profound strength of a mother's love and the relentless pursuit of justice. In the days that followed, as Sarah navigated the painful process of closure, she reflected on the experience. The search for Megan had transformed from a quest for answers into a journey of resilience. She had learned that truth, however painful, can be a powerful catalyst for healing. Ultimately, this case was not just about loss. It was about the relentless human spirit, the bonds of family, and the tenacity to seek justice against all odds. As Sarah now looks to the future, she carries a message, an echo of hope for those still lost in the shadows. Even in the darkest of times, the light of truth can lead the way home. And so, as we conclude this tale of sorrow and strength, we are left with one haunting question. What lengths would you go to uncover the truth for someone you love?